Ja, te si pelletier naše moje diskusní nešli. Byly gana baščin, kýna číní dašče. Billy got it, welcome back to Res Ball. It took us a while to finally get back to record. We are going to try and do all of the Pistons offseason stuff, playoff reactions, look at free agents, talk about a little trades, and then really to me and Andy, the bigger thing is looking at Trajan Langdon and JB Bickerstaff going forward. So let's get started right about now. Andy, welcome back. Let everyone know where they can find you online before we get started.
You can find me on Twitter at D_D_Pistons_fan.
First, your reaction to our Detroit Pistons falling the Cleveland Cavaliers in the second round in 7 games this 2026 playoffs.
Obviously, I'm disappointed, but you can't keep putting yourself in those situations where you got to work so hard to come back. And I mean, it's a learning experience for them, I think, to realize how important and how quickly things can change in the playoffs because in game 5, they had a lead ending the game and they choked it away. And had they won that game and gone up 3-2, there's no guarantees, but I think it's just a different situation. We don't get to look at or think about that anymore, but they very easily could have been in the conference finals against the Knicks. They've played great against the Knicks. So who knows what could have been. I'm disappointed, but at the same time I'm not overly upset because they made so much progress this year that you can't be upset. But it's a strange feeling because there's like happiness and at the same time frustration and also looking at the lack of moves that were made at the trade deadline. It's it's a strange place to be.
Yeah, it's weird following that series, looking at shout out Everything King, shout out Ross of the Rock Never Stops, shout out Boz and Downtown Deuce, shout out Piston Mike. Everybody seemed kind of down in that Cavs series after that game 5. Like everybody just kind of seemed like, oof, I don't know about this. And a lot of the things that kind of unraveled in there were the lack of a second shot creator, which has to do with Jalen Duren not being there also a little bit. And then JB's decisions. Shout out to Everything King. He was one of the few that consistently kept calling on JB for like, why is Paul Reed not getting all of Duren's minutes then when we can see like the effort level change and him just being able to do more, and then the weird rotation stuff. So I think that, like that's what you're kind of saying is we're happy they won 60 games. I think we're all very excited they made it out of the first round after what looked like was going to be a pretty embarrassing bounce out of the first round. But it's like you gotta, to me, when I look at this Pistons team, and I'll talk about this little when I talk about Jalen Duren here in a minute, is like you be 50% on them. Are they the team that won 60 games? Of course. Are they the team that were basically the number one seed since December? Yeah. Amazing. Absolutely. Did they fight to get out of that first round and avoid embarrassment? Yes, definitely. They don't go down without a fight. Thank God they're not the team that just rolls over. I mean, Kate had a broken rib for crying out loud. That should not go uncelebrated also. But it also is something of like what we've been saying, what a lot of national media have been saying since January is like, who's the second guy? Who's taking pressure off of Cade? And the answer continues to be nobody. So that's the other side of it. It's like, yes, we're able to see they're that good to get to the number one seed, but they're not good enough to be an actual number one seed. I mean, New York's been the one that's proven that, right? They just steamrolled everybody. They've had 10 straight playoff wins. That's what the Pistons should be looking like when they're winning 10 games in the number one seed all year. And the other part about it too is let's be real. This team was one Franz Wagner injury away from getting bounced in the first round. If Franz doesn't go down, there's no way that the Magic lose that series just because of the game plan they had really worked well against the Pistons where Franz was on Cade and then they would switch up other guys, and that was really what was giving them problems. And Franz is a legitimate like 6'9", 6'10", and can hang with Cade, so that's just really hard to do. You also need to keep that in mind, not to disparage them and not to discredit what they were able to do, but also to remember that, like, oof, that team had their number, and it was only because of injury that their tactics had to change and that everything fell apart. So, yes, they're the 60-win team, but they're also the team that just doesn't have a second scorer and just ran out of gas because they don't have anything else to go to other than Cade.
So when things don't go, I don't want to say when things aren't going well, but what flexibility does the team have when another team starts shutting down their options? Like, and this kind of relates to what you said before about their team is so bad at their 3-point shooting. Like historically, like the odds of them going all the way and winning are so small. But it's like we kind of tease JB about it, where he's like, "We're just going to do it better. We're just going to do it harder." Like, and in the end, it's kind of like, well, that's really all they're going to do is that's their only option. And when you start looking at matchups, when you don't have much flexibility, you can't really counter many different matchups. And then you're kind of hoping that when you get seeded in the playoffs, that you're actually getting favorable matchups instead of having a team that has some ability to adapt a little bit to the situation.
Yeah, I mean, just look at Game 7. Who did we get cooked by in Game 7?
I was it a Mitchell game? I honestly I don't even remember the end of that game.
Sam Merrill. It's
Oh,
funny because James Harden pooped his pants yet again in another game 7. He was in complete no-show, but Donovan Mitchell wasn't in a no-show, and Sam Merrill just like he hit must have hit like every three-pointer he shot, man. He was on fire. And that's to your point, right? We don't have a Sam Merrill off the bench. We have one three-point shooter in Duncan Robinson, right? And nobody else that can really heat up like that and get punches and bunches, as I like to say, one of those microwave scorers that all of a sudden you look up and they have 15 and you're like, how did that happen? It's like, oh, they just made like five threes and got to the line and all this stuff in the span of 10 minutes. So yeah, I hear you. That's the next step. So now we look to the offseason of what exactly they can do. First, we want to talk about what to do about Jalen Duren. We are recording this on May 24th, 2026, where yeah, no, I know I'm the Jalen Duren hater guy, so might as well lead all the way into it. Stupidly, Jalen Duren was voted on third team All NBA when somehow he regressed in assists, somehow he regressed in turnovers, somehow he regressed in blocks, somehow he regressed in steals, and yet they awarded him because he scored a lot of points and caught a lot of lobs. By getting this third team All NBA vote, Jalen Duren is now eligible for Supermax, which is 30% of the cap. So you were right, Andy. I said it was 28 before we started recording, but Andy was right. 30% of the cap. That means the Pistons can offer Jalen Duren a contract with a starting salary of 49.5 million starting next year. That would go to 53.5 million the year after, 57.4 in the third year, 61.4 million in the fourth year, and 65.3 million in the fifth year. That's 287.1 million. The regular max, if you want to know, is 5 years, 239 million, which is only 25% of the cap. And another team, the maximum offer that another team can offer Jalen Duren is 4 years and 177 million. What should the Pistons do with Jalen Duren? Because that's the first question in the offseason I think everybody has to answer.
well, you can't let him go for nothing. Obviously, you have to keep him. Um, However, if whatever the most another team can offer, I'm barely beating that, and that's my offer. And I know that might not be the best for player relations, but you start looking at the size of his contract, and I know we took heat like during the season because everyone was talking about, oh, he we should have signed him in the off season to the number that he wanted because of how great he's putting up his numbers. We're gonna have to pay him so much more money. And then those same people like flipped on him because he had such a bad playoff performance. It's like you don't get to just keep going back and forth. And it's like the flaws are the flaws. They're not necessarily changing. And it's like this contract you're paying for potential of what the person could be, but now you're also paying for the potential of what this person could be in the playoffs if they're a playoff shrinker. Are they James Harden in the playoffs? Like, is this something that we have to look forward to? And does he even have the ability to change what he does when it's not working? In terms of if it's just based on offensive rebounding and force and doing this and doing that, maybe there's other teams with size that he can't do that. And if he can't do that, and you're paying him the money of a number two when he can't put up those numbers, that's a problem. That's a serious problem. So yes, you have to resign him, but I'm not doing anything close to the All NBA numbers.
So yeah, to go back to the contract numbers too, 4 years, 177 million from another team. You know how much per year he'd be making? 4 years, 177 million.
They're like 47 million.
44.25. So 44 is Jalen Duren worth that? 44 million per season.
No,
Yeah, and this is where I said with the Pistons and Jalen Duren both like the playoffs and the regular season, to be objective, you have to say you can't like you were talking about how people swing wildly from the regular season. I can't believe how many people I saw. Like, this guy's got to get a max, blah blah. They can't let him go. And like you said, he after like the third game, people are like, "This guy's not worth $5," and it's like, "All right, guys, I get it." Again, I've been the hater all year, but I'm like, this is overcorrecting now. Is he the guy from the regular season who scored 19 points per game, who got third team All NBA, or is he the guy in the playoffs who barely cracked 10? The answer is yeah, he's both guys. And that's what drives me so bananas about him and why I've been saying so often you cannot pay this guy because this is who he is. These wild swings in production, these wild swings in mood and effort, like that's just who he is. And if you don't know that, then you have not been following this young man for a while. 10.4 points per game in the playoffs, 10.3 rebounds, 0.9 assists, zero point 0.2 or zero point 0.9, sorry, assists per game, 0.2 steals per game, 0.9 blocks per game, 1.4 turnovers per game. What do you think of those numbers, Andy?
those aren't $40 million numbers.
Those are also aren't Jalen Duren's stats. They're very close though. Got you fooled. Who do you think those stats are in this playoffs? Another center who made it to the second round.
Jared Allen.
Nope, I'll give you his numbers here in a minute too.
Whose numbers are those?
DeAndre Ayton.
That's
Remember,
cool.
10.4 points per game. Jalen Duren, 10.4 points per game. DeAndre Ayton, 10.3 rebounds per game. Jalen Duren, 9.2 rebounds per game. Actually, these have changed. Excuse me. I need to go look at these because I pulled these numbers before this series ended. So let me correct myself here and not do Duren as dirty as that. So DeAndre Ayton again, 10.4 points per game for DeAndre Ayton this playoffs. Duren ended up with 10.2 points per game. DeAndre Ayton had 10.3 rebounds per game, and our guy Jalen Duren ended up with 8.5, 8.5. Assists per game, Duren had him beat easily, 2.1 assists per game for Duren to just 0.9 assists per game for Ayton. Ayton ain't good at sharing the ball anyway, and steals and blocks, Duren had him beat, thank God. 0.6 steals to Ayton 0.2 steals, and then Duren had 1.2 blocks per game and Ayton only had 0.9 blocks per game. But Duren had 2.3 turnovers per game also, and that's probably the biggest concern to me. I'm like, yeah, if he scored efficiently, I would have had a less of an issue with Duren. 55.3% true shooting, I believe, is what Duren, yeah, 55.3% true shooting is what Duren had in the playoffs. And he also had a turnover rate, Jalen Duren, of 19.8%, which led the team I mean, if you don't count Toulouse Smith and Kevin Herter, who only played 46 and 7 minutes respectively, Duran had a higher turnover rate than Cade, whose was 18.6. So yeah, again, all these things to say, this isn't a max guy. You said the team shouldn't lose Duran for nothing. I honestly disagree with that. I think this is somebody that if somebody offers a max and they don't work with you with the sign and trade, did we not learn from DeAndre Ayton? If it came down to it for the Suns, do you think they would have been better off matching the contract like they did, or just letting DeAndre Ayton walk and go to the Pacers?
How would that have changed Indiana's future?
Exactly. See, right? They would have not been in the finals last year, that's for sure. 'Cause that wouldn't have freed up the money to trade for Pascal Siakam. It wouldn't have freed up the money to bring in all those free agents like Obi Toppin and pay TJ and all these other role player guys. It would have all gone to Ayton. And that's what you got to avoid with Duran is like, oof. Yes, I understand he had a great regular season, but you got to factor in the playoffs, regressed from where he was. And you said he blew up last year in the playoffs in New York. He only scored like 11 points per game. It wasn't like this huge, you know, big difference maker. It was better, but it wasn't, no, not even like 12 points per game. So it's like, all right, we've got two playoff series now. And the other things to consider, again, Duran regressed in terms of his passing, Duran regressed in terms of his blocks, and Duran regressed in shots 6 feet and in. Do you remember at the halfway point where Jalen Duran was at defending shots 6 feet and in? What percentage was he giving up?
I don't remember.
It was 53%. It was very good. We were like, oh, what a great difference it's make. Do you have any idea now at the end of the season where Jalen Duren finished in terms of shots 6 feet and in? Those shots he defended, what was the percentage Mr. Duren gave up on those shots?
57%?
Oh, you are so generous, Andy. You're so, so generous. Let me double check my numbers. So again, I don't misspeak like I almost did here a minute ago. Duran on shot 6 feet and in this last season gave up 60.3%. That's a 7% decrease from the halfway point. That means in the second half of the season, what happened, Andy?
It means a lot of all NBA voters did not watch the second half of the season.
Well, at least they didn't watch defense, which again, insert NBA joke here about defense and insert people who make a lot of money talking about offense being entertaining and all that stuff. Okay, fine. But again, many, many indicators this guy has regressed in things other than putting the basket in the hoop. And I know we had a comment before the playoffs of like, we do have a second scorer. He just doesn't dribble a lot or do things like no, we can go back now and say, no, we don't have a second scorer. And when I mean shot creator, I mean somebody else that does things to create offense for themselves and others that draws defensive attention away. Everybody, all they did all playoffs was take away the lob, take away the lob, and this is what you saw Duran do in response, right? You've said it so many times. Last point on Duran is that the rookie contract, the rookie extension, isn't paying the player for what they are now, but what they could become. With Duran, it's a double-edged sword of like maybe double-edged sword isn't the right way to put it, but it's like there's two things that cut in this that you have to really have a well thought out answer for is okay, what is Duran going to improve? What can you reasonably expect him to improve next season and then the 4 years, 5 years that this contract is? And what is JB going to allow him to do? Because that's the other part of it is like he didn't let Stu shoot anymore. He didn't encourage Stu to shoot anymore. They gave up on Asar shooting. They don't want him to do all that stuff. All these other younger guys, they're not encouraging them to develop their game and putting them in roles that severely limit them on offense. Even a Jalen Duren, his passing was not a featured thing after it had been the first 3 years. So if you are somebody out there that's like Duren can improve X, Y, and Z, great. Is JB going to allow that also?
Well, I can't say yes because I don't understand a lot of the things JB does. Like, I mean, even just looking at Asar, like in the beginning of the playoffs, he was still not getting as many minutes as he was supposed to be getting. And I'm not sure what caused the change, but finally he started getting more minutes. But then even to close some games, he would still go offense for defense, and it's like we still haven't figured this out. So no, I don't have faith in JB being the thing that's going to help unlock Jalen Duren's game.
Yeah, it's hard to talk about the coach of the year like this, but it's just who he is. If you're not watching this on YouTube, that made Andy just bust up pretty bad. Again, that's not a shot at JB, but it's just like that award is supposed to reward somebody who like knows what to do and coach up their guys, and it's like yes, but there still isn't a lot of growth and development here going on in terms of the young guys. And JB created the center problem himself, and he made it even worse this postseason. Because guess what? I guess we have three centers now. I joke with Andy beforehand. In the NFL, they talk about if you have two QBs, you got no QBs. Meaning, like if you're having like I don't know if I should go with this guy or that guy. That means there's not a definitive starter. There's nobody there that's gone and clearly showed like he's the guy. JB did that all this playoffs, right? He had Duran. And then Stu played fantastic defense in the Magic series, but then I guess Stu's in the doghouse because we haven't heard any injuries for him because he barely played in Cleveland. And then Duran got in the doghouse. He was just giving up everything in that Cleveland series. And then B-Ball Paul came in, and then, expert after fan after anybody that had eyeballs that watched that Cleveland series was like, why doesn't he just play B-Ball Paul? So amidst all this contract stuff, whatever you think, JB himself created this three center problem now of like, oh, so I guess Duran's not that good then because you clearly treated him like a jabroni and showed to the world there are times where his effort's not good enough and that he was a liability out there in the playoffs. All of this to say, again, for me, I'm like, when it comes down to it, if another team did offer Jalen Duren a max, I'm like, you got to let him walk, man. Because you at least, and that goes down to like having a backup plan. And if you have three centers already on your roster that you trust two of them anyway, then what's the difference? JB, right?
So if a team offered him 4 years, 177, you'd be like, nope, not matching.
I mean, you try and get a sign and trade, right? Get a
Yeah.
pick, get a young guy, get something out of it. But yeah, if it comes down to it and they're not willing to play ball, then it's like, yeah, see you later, man. Because then that ends up being 50%, over 50% of your cap then is tied up in Kate Cunningham and Jalen Duren. And then guess what happens next offseason is it's Asar Thompson's contract. He's probably going to make all NBA next year, all defense, excuse me, all defense again next year. So that's going to have him go up. So then you're going to have 75% of your cap right there in Cade, in Duran, and in Asar. And God forbid, again, if this team is stupid enough to pay Jalen Duran that super max, then you have 60% of your cap in two guys, in Cade and Duran. And then it's like, then you got Asar, and if there's 25, there's 85% of your cap.
I mean, it's not an overreaction to say that the contract that they signed Duren to will dramatically influence what this team can do going forward. So all the flexibility they have created, they can basically destroy with a giant contract.
Yeah, and again, I don't ever want to hear the word flexibility out of any GM's mouth after Troy Weaver sold us on that for so long. And again, especially now, if Trajan Langdon has the gall to be up here and talk about flexibility, then he's an absolute moron because flexibility is over now between Duran and guess what? The second most important player in the playoffs was Tobias Harris, right? He's up for a contract also. So an interesting offseason. Who else do you sign? Who else is out there? Well, let's take a look at who else could be out there. Just gonna go through this real quick. About 40 some free agents to me that I identify that I'm like, they're a fit, but I think there's about 23 of them that for sure will be the best fits for the Pistons. Apparently, I don't know how to work the share button here. There it is, going bananas here. So to me, the priority free agents, the 23 that I said, are Keon Ellis, obviously, Ayo Dosunmu, Austin Reeves, Kobe White, Luke, bring Luke Kennard back. Just Julian Champagny has a team option. He might be there. Colin Sexton, Quentin Grimes, come back. Jordan Miller, team option. Olivier Maxence Prosper. That's the one that's odd. It's like a team option, but he's also an unrestricted free agent. I am not sure how it works. You have to ask Keith Miss or somebody like that if you like Omax. Tobias, John Collins, Peyton Watson is a restricted free agent, so you have to get in a bidding order with the Nuggets. Lindy Waters is my fellow res baller. Come back. Bones Highland, GG Jackson as a team option. They might not pick that up in Memphis. Bryce McGowan's low key super sleeper, fantastic shooter. Go on the wing. Tara Eason, restricted free agency in Houston. Excuse me, they're already kind of cap strapped, so who knows what they're going to do. Gary Trent Jr.'s got a player option. Anthony Simons, Harrison Barnes, Norman Powell, and then Javante Green. Any of those names stand out for you to where it's like, yeah, I would line up day one and try and figure out a way to sign them to a decent deal somewhere between like 25 and 30 million.
Um, a Kobe White or an Adio, but if the Pistons wanted them, you'd think they would have done something this year to get them.
Take a pin
Um,
in that. We'll come back to that.
um, I mean, I don't know how Gary Trent shooting has been, but I mean, he's not a lot of money. Um, yeah, I'm not seeing anyone right now.
To me, I think it's Io. I mean, just to see what he did in the playoffs for Minnesota when they were down bodies. 15.6 points per game in the playoffs, shooting splits 54.1 from two, 42.5% from three, and then 92.6% from the free throw line, three rebounds, four assists. Zero point 0.9 steals, 0.4 blocks. I mean, he showed he's a secondary creator. And who was the other guard they targeted last offseason that they didn't end up getting because he went to Atlanta? Was Nikhil Alexander Walker. I think it's kind of like you'd be dumb not to see the same thing as there. That there's a guy who's a really good shot creator who you can play with Cade, you can play without Cade, you can have them go in and out. So that way there's 48 total minutes of a shot creator out there. Austin Reeves would be nice, but low key, he's probably going to get a max out there. He's already rejected Detroit once too, so who knows if he still doesn't want to. And yeah, I agree with you. Kobe White's probably the only other one here that it's like seemed like he could get something going, and he's always been solid. But to me, Io just put it over the top because of what he was able to do with the Grizzlies, the Grizzlies, excuse me, with the Timberwolves. Sorry, Timberwolves fans. So for me, I would really be showing up at a store with like 25, 28 million somewhere in there because the Wolves are pretty cap strapped too. Like they're already over. They can't really pay him a whole lot. I'm not sure what the status is with his contract. I'm sure they have his bird rights since trading him, but they really can't offer him like too big of a deal. So opening that up would be good. The other thing I do want to ask you about though is Tobias. What do we do about Tobias?
What do I think happens or what is supposed to happen?
What do you think happens?
I think Tobias resigns with Detroit and is starting power forward next season.
What do you think the number is?
Um, Probably 20.
Oof. So let's say Duran gets 30, so that's 50 million right there between Duran and Tobias. Was that a good off season? Is it a multi-year deal for Tobias?
I mean, it has to be like a 1+1, but it's a team option. So really it's just a single year. Um, and this is why I don't understand. In some ways the 60 wins is so bad because it just
Less
makes
than 60 wins with Tobias. It's more that he was, again, he was the second most important player in the playoffs.
yeah, no, he was huge. That's why I'm
Yeah.
not trying to knock the guy.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying though. I don't think it's the 60 wins. I think it's that. I think if they went in, they lost in the first round, then it's like, all right, see you later, Tobias. But he was, I mean, maybe the second biggest reason why they won against the Magic.
Oh yeah, he played huge for them. Like he had the best game seven of his career. But it's like I even thought at some point we were going to be like phasing Tobias out to possibly play Stu a little bit at the four, and that never really happened. Like I don't under because the thing is if you're moving on from Tobias, what was he like the second or third leading minutes played on the team? Like probably
Take a
third.
look.
It'd be him or Duncan. It's like if you're trying to run back your 60 win team that is like so heavily relying on so he
Tobias
was
was fifth. He wasn't, yeah, I thought he would have been higher than that, but he was fifth.
but he played just 63 games. So but but yeah, it's like what is there's not really a plan to move off of him
Yeah,
unless you're bringing in a new power. Like who are you bringing in?
that would be my follow-up question. I mean, it's like John Collins or bust, probably, right? Unless you're really
Yeah.
big into all Max, who did show improvements. I mean, if you think you can get off Taurease and off the Rockets, sure. He kind of cratered from the three-point shooting in the second half of the season, but he's always been good. It fits what the team wants. And then Harrison Barnes, but I mean, he's the same age as Tobias. He's better fit in terms of shooting threes is his main thing. But I mean, it's kind of like,
If
again, what's the difference? You're still
yeah,
counting on a 33-year-old dude
yeah,
to be your starting power forward.
yeah. I mean, I unless they're
Well,
going,
let's if I can cut you off, let's look at the guys who I put in woodwork of like I didn't put them as a priority, but I'm like, you know what? I think they could also be signed. Zach LaVine as a player option, CJ McCollum, unrestricted free agent, Andrew Wiggins, player option, probably up and out. Rui Hachimura's out there, Kelly Oubre, Matisse Thybulle, Dean Wade, Larry Nance Jr., Landry Shamet, Josh Okogie, Trace Jackson Davis, Andre Jackson Jr., Ron Harper Jr., Kobe Sanders, Nick Smith Jr., Javon Carter, Jeremy Sohan, excuse me, and AJ Lawson. I think out of those bunch, it's like Wiggins and Rui maybe. And even then, Wiggins is 31 and Rui not exactly a defensive, helper, we'll say.
yeah. I mean, I think I would like Rui, but uh, it's like is that like a big improvement over what you're getting with Tobias? Probably.
Offensively, probably, just because Rui is a good shooter and is
He's
more
a good
willing to do
shooter.
that.
Yeah. I mean, Rui would probably be it. Um, yeah, I mean, I think Tobias is your starting power forward next year, unless there's some big trade.
Yeah. Speaking of trades, well, we'll get into trades here in a minute. These are the last three guys I put there of like maybe, I guess, who knows was the tier. Draymond Green as a player option, who knows? Lou Dort. I don't want Lou Dort. Lou Dort can kiss my ass for all I care. I hate Lou Dort anymore. Just go search up Lou Dort on YouTube and see all the dirty plays he's done in the last 2 years. Ridiculous. Lou Dort, stay away from us. And then Walker Kessler, who's a restricted free agent. He spent most of the year hurt. But I mean, he broke a lot of records for shot blocks in his first 3 years and would be a good fit. I mean, if the Jazz somehow wanted to do like a sign and trade with Kessler and Duran and Kessler comes in on a lower number, I'm all for it. But I don't think it's going to happen.
No, I don't think that would happen, but I would be for that.
You got any Draymond Green or Lou Dort thoughts?
No, thank you.
Exactly. Move on from those. There are some trades, though, we could consider here. Let me give you those ideas, which I put together a while back. I forgot to pull them up before we started. So apologies. Give me just a second. All right. Um, just real quick, too, to go back to the Jalen Duren thing. If there was sign and trade candidates, there are a lot of options out there for sign and trade candidates for Duren. Memphis being number one. They don't really have like a center. I don't think you can count on Zach Edey being long-term answer. And they got the cap space. That's where Durden went to college in Memphis. Brooklyn, who knows what Brooklyn's doing anyway? They don't care. Maybe they just want a big name out there and they got all the cap space. Charlotte is just fiending for a center. They have Musa Diabate and Ryan Kalkbrenner, who like are just okay. And then the Clippers are in desperate need of a center. They don't really have one right now either. I don't know how they make it work with the money. And then of course the Bulls out there. I did put Memphis and Charlotte seem to be like the biggest suckers because they do seem like Charlotte being desperate enough for a center, wanting to take that next push, and Memphis being like, we just need some excitement, right? And they actually have a bunch of different things they could offer the Pistons in terms of picks or players. Clippers and Brooklyn, they don't really have great things to offer here. So just something to think about when it comes to Jalen and sign and trade. And the Bulls, I mean, the Bulls probably sound like the team that they're going to offer it. Outside of Matas, Buzelis, I don't really know what the Bulls could offer, and I don't think they want to give up Matas either. They've shown they've been dumb enough to give up picks. So if they want to give up picks, absolutely. In terms of other trades, though, to me, if I'm Trajan Langdon, the minute you got eliminated, three teams you needed to call. Number one, New Orleans for Trey Murphy. Number two, Utah for you for Laurie Markkinen, and three is Dallas for PJ Washington. I think those are the three guys you immediately need to call and talk about availability. And I want to be clear, I'm not thrilled about like needing to be in this spot to get them, just because the guys we've seen like Desmond Bain and Mikal Bridges went for multiple picks. I'm sure that's what those teams are going to be looking for too. I don't think a Trey Murphy, a Laurie, or a PJ Washington are worth multiple picks, but I do think it's that time to where anybody should look at getting away from them from the situations they're in. And with Laurie, it's weird because it's like him and Jaren Jackson and Walker Kessler now just seem like an odd fit to where Laurie would be playing small forward, which maybe they want to do, but maybe they don't want to do. And Trey Murphy, who knows what Troy and Joe want to do down there, right? And PJ Washington had a down year in terms of his shooting, but the year he went to the finals with Luka and with Kyrie, he just was on fire. He's a great defender too, can defend both fours and threes, sometimes even all the way to the five. Trey Murphy is the absolute secondary shot creator, 6'8", 6'9", can play small forward, shooting guard, power forward, any of those. And then Laurie Markkinen, again, just bombs away from three. Another offensive guy, probably a little bit more of a liability. The unfortunate thing, though, is like when you look at the trade market out there of guys you think could be available, it's really these guys. It's like, man, I wish I could offer you somebody that wasn't always a potential health risk. None of these guys seem to stay healthy. And it just seems like it is at that point, though, of at least that's what you got to do is get on the phone, ask about Trey Murphy, Laurie Markin, and PJ Washington. What do you say, Andy?
I mean, I I hate to rain on everybody's like trade machine. The Pistons are going to run this thing back with a couple minor changes, and that's what we're going to get. I know that's like depressing as hell for most people and not what they want to hear, but the GM basically said, I want to evaluate what we have. And his evaluation shows him that we had the best team in the East and we lost in the seventh game at home. That shouldn't have happened. Our star was hurt. We've got a young core. They're not going to do anything that rocks the boat, in my opinion.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, Did you watch any of Trajan's? I should ask you before we start recording. Did you watch any of Trajan's press conference to end the year?
I didn't. I try not to listen to all those lies.
Yeah, I mean, he basically said what you said, though.
I mean, unless there's something, I don't want to say that falls into their lap, but
Yeah,
something that it's like, oh, there's an opportunity that this guy, which nobody knew was going to be available, somehow becomes available outside of which there's going to be no source to like this thing
yeah,
happening.
yeah.
It's going to be just like, oh, this guy was free. Like outside of that, I just think for him and his job security that he's just like, we everything is great. I mean, of course, we lost in the playoffs. We didn't win a title. Everything is great. We are making progress. Nobody remembers the historical losing season. Like Tobias is older, but he's still got another year in him. The guys will get more experience. Duran's gonna blossom more. Like I'm just thinking what they're gonna say to themselves, and that's what we're gonna get.
So you're saying Supermax Jalen Duren is what we should prepare for?
Oh God, I that but see that for me that would
Hey,
be
he's
like
young. You just said they could make the play. If it wasn't for he was hurt, that's all it could take. We just got to keep him happy, Andy.
if they do that, they are man, they're bad at their job because you can't do that. Like you just can't. We've talked about this for like 2 years now. Like no,
Yeah,
you can't do this. Like, and I know he had a great season, but you can't do that.
yeah. I mean, it's at the point to me. I hear what you're saying with like they're going to run it back because again, if you listen to Trajan Langdon's press conference, that seems to be what he's saying is like, well, we just had a couple bad breaks, but we won 60 games. We're celebrating them. And it's like, okay, man, but we got to analyze Trajan's track record now. Remember, Kate Cunningham is not Trajan Langdon. Star Thompson is not Trajan Langdon. Jalen Duren is not Trajan Langdon. And Star Thompson or Isaiah Stewart is not Trajan Langdon. What is Trajan Langdon? Ron Holland. He drafted Ron Holland. That was one of his first moves. Trading to get Bobby Clintman. That was another one of his first moves. He traded away Quentin Grimes for Tim Hardaway Jr. He did sign Janice Jenkins to a two-way contract, eventually into the contract he is now, which Janice is also a free agent, which we didn't even talk about here. I'm sure he'll come back on some kind of deal, though. If not, that'll be really weird. And then Tobias Harris, Malik Beasley are Trajan Langdon moves. I mean, there's a bunch of different things in here of like two ways, so I'm not going to count those. Paul Reed is Trajan Langdon. And then we got Dennis Schroeder, Chaz Lanier, and Karras. And what's his face? Duncan Robinson, Javante Green. What would say you about those Trajan Langdon moves? What does it say about him?
Oh, I'm not overly impressed because
Yeah,
we're looking for a guy like Quentin Grimes right now.
yeah. And Trajan Langdon's biggest success in either signing or drafting is
Ron Holland?
Tobias.
Oh, well, I mean, wasn't Tobias coming back here anyway?
That's another one of my points. It's hard to know with that one. I'll give it to him though, just because again, it appears on his every basketball reference about try. It's credited to him. Let's just give him that credit. Guys, if we don't give him that credit, what would you say about what's Trajan Langdon's biggest stamp on this team?
Uh, Ron Holland, because even Dennis Jenkins, he didn't find Dennis Jenkins, did he? I think wasn't he already in our system before?
No, I believe he signed him that offseason. I mean,
Okay.
you can argue too, because sometimes even though a GM or a president might get fired, the scouting department remains the same. So yeah, but again, it's assigned to him, so I'll give it to him.
We got a bunch
We
of
got
hockey.
Tobias. Yeah, we got Tobias, we got Dennis, right? It's like, okay, man, I see you out here trying to get the supplemental role players, even in the Ron Holland, right? You can't just keep waiting on this anymore, right? Again, you put yourself in this position to win 60 games. You can't sit in this position forever and being like, yeah, we'll just keep running it back. Oh, we like the guys we have right now. You jumped a few steps, man. And again, look across at the Western Conference Finals. Those teams both turned it around in 3 seasons. One of them even made a trade everybody lambasted for trading for a player that's not a top 15, top 20 player in De'Aaron Fox. If you had to say De'Aaron Fox was if you had to put a number on him, he's the number blank best player in the NBA, where would you put De'Aaron Fox?
30?
Right? It's somewhere around there between 20 and 30. But why, oh, why did they do that trade, Andy?
Well, they've got Wemby. They got to get things going.
Not only that, De'Aaron Fox is the exact player that roster needed to work. You know, he's good. Yeah, again, he's not like perennial all-star, perennial all NBA, but he's a point guard. He attacks the rim. He sets everybody else up. He's a good enough shooter. And what does the rest of the roster look like? Stephon Castle, who needed to round out his game, more of defense and stuff. Devin Vassell, who's more of a shooter, supplementary guy. Wembanyama, again, you can put all that on the young guy, even though he looks like he's the best player in the NBA already 3 years in. The Harrison Barnes shooter from the outside there. Then they get the other guys like Julian Champagny. They had a lot of other dudes that can even be a number one guy like a Stephon Castle, but it would take a while, and they needed a point guard that set him up because the one thing that all these kids are not is a point guard. And we all know in the NBA you have to have your setup man like that. So for the Pistons, again, this keep running it back. It's like, how long is this going to happen? To me, you jump some steps. You already have other teams in Oklahoma City and San Antonio who knew, like, we're this good, let's push forward. Oklahoma City, who's like, we already won a title, let's go get a Jared McCain and all that. To me, it has to be a mandate from Trajan Langton now of like, I have to get a difference maker. I still have on the mindset, and this is just me, so you can debate this and criticize this all you want. Every team that wins a title, every team that gets in contention makes a big trade that puts them there. I mean, look at New York, all the trades that they made to get and put themselves in there. They're freaking New York for crying out loud. They can sign anybody they wanted to on the free agent market, but that's not how the NBA works anymore. James Dolan probably kind of tanked their value also, but still, even they realize that. I mean, the Celtics, they went on and got Derek White. They went on and got Kristaps Porzingis, right? Uh, every team, every team does it. And OKC, they had to go get Isaiah Hartenstein and overpay him in restricted free agents. And Oklahoma City, again, is the exception that proves the rule because they had like 20 million draft picks. And the only way they got those 20 million draft picks is by trading their superstars over and over and over until they exhausted their superstardom and they just had to rebuild and start over again because of all the trades that they were able to make. And now this finals, if San Antonio gets there, then they're another team that again jumped the gun, traded for an overvalued player, blah blah blah. And De'Aaron Fox, that was the missing piece to their roster. The Detroit Pistons are already at that point. We already know they have a missing piece in their roster of a secondary scorer to take pressure off Cade Cunningham. Everything else, cool, fine. If you want to re-sign Jalen Duren to an okay contract that doesn't pay him like he's 25% superstar, great. If you want to keep doing this weird three thing at center, I don't know if that'll end up working, but I got him 60 wins last year. And if they had a secondary scorer that could take pressure off K in the playoffs, who knows? Maybe it'll work anyway, right? Um, all these other things. Now, if you're a good GM, like you really, really, really have to show your worth here of knowing I have a team that is good enough. I know what's missing. Can I go get it done? And I've said this again many, many times. Either if he has a plan that he can't execute, or he has no plan and they go nowhere, those are both the same outcome that he gets fired. You got to be able to execute it. You got to have a plan and execute it. I mean, it just is what it is, man. If he can't pull something out this offseason to actually address the need that he can see, that we can all see, then what in the world are you even doing?
So what is the position that you feel like we're going to upgrade this offseason?
I would think it's shooting guard or small forward. Probably shooting guard because that's where Duncan played, right? And Duncan would be better utilized off the bench. And again, if you can have another guy in there like the Harden and Mitchell, or De'Aaron Fox, Stephon Castle to do the Oklahoma City one. Even in Oklahoma City, it's J-Dub and SGA, right? To where, sure, they start together, but the way they're utilized in being on the court for 48 minutes, and some guy is always out there being the primary creator, and there's maybe like 5 minutes here and there where neither guy's on the court. That's really what you want to do. So I think it's shooting guard, small forward, because Asar can be utilized up and down. And when you talk about Tobias, I do think there is a big possibility that Tobias doesn't come back due to money. And in that case, maybe Asar goes over to power forward and they do something different there.
Do you think the heart and soul Stu? Do you think Stu is back next year?
I mean, I would say yes. From all that you've said of like they're going to run it back and all that stuff, don't you think it would be bizarre that like, oh, we're running thing back, but we're going to trade Isaiah Stewart like that? Those two things seem contradictory, right?
Yeah, because I mean, as far as money, you're either I mean, obviously we want to trade Karras, but it's Karras and like Stu, like those are the contracts that you can move easily for something. Um, huh.
Yeah, I mean, I'm of the mindset of if you attach that first round pick to Karras just to get off the money, I would do it.
Well, the thing is, we don't. I mean, Karras is now expiring, so now it's a lot easier to move him. Um, but
But you need to trade him for zero so that you get cap space back. You know what I mean? Because if you could turn Karras and then that cap space and whatever you already have into Io Dosunmu, I think Io really is like the best target here we're looking for in terms of somebody that can start, somebody that can take a big step forward, is an actual creator, showed he's getting better, and then did a good job in the playoffs too.
oh, I think we probably could have taken a shot at him this year, right?
Oh my gosh, that's the other. I forgot in my Trajan rant to do all that. It's just like I think that's the biggest thing that makes me upset with Trajan. It's like you were number one in the standings from December, basically all the way until the end, and at the trade deadline, you decided, oh, we're still in an evaluation year. Like that doesn't really give me much confidence that you can seize the moment. I think a lot of better evaluators would have been like, we're on pace to win 55, 60 games. Man, we're really good. We could make some noise in the playoffs. Let's go find somebody. And do you even remember what Io and Cody, what Io and Kobe White even cost? Do you remember?
I think it was a couple of second round picks, I think is what it was.
Yeah, let's go take a look at that. I haven't thought about this in a while just because I don't want to be that mad, but let's do it anyway. So the Bulls sent Dosunmu and Julian Phillips to the Wolves in exchange for Rob Dillingham, Leonard Miller, and 4 second-round draft picks. If my memory serves me correctly, the Pistons have like 8 future second round picks. So if you're like, oh, they didn't have that many picks, they did. They had more than that. Maybe the Bulls really just wanted Rob Dillingham, but I mean, is that a package? Rob Dillingham, Leonard Miller, 4 second round picks. Is that a package you think the Pistons could have beat?
I mean for picks, but I mean the Bulls needed to have their all guard team, so they needed to get a bunch of guards.
I mean, they got Ivy anyway. Why didn't you give them Ivy and you're gonna give them the Wolves Ivy and the 6 first round picks. There's 6 second round picks.
Could have put Sasser in there too for another guard for
Yeah,
them.
right. Yeah, stuff. And then Kobe White. Let's see what Kobe White went for. Mike Conley Jr. to the Hornets for Sexton, forward Usmani Dang, 2 future second round picks. Maybe that one was just money.
Yeah. Who knows what the Bulls are doing? We never know. No one knows. They don't know.
Yeah, but it's funny that they were able to make moves with everybody basically except Trajan Langdon.
Yeah, I need to figure out who the 3-point shooter the Pistons need to add is.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's pretty much the thing to me with Tobias, even though he did fantastic in the playoffs. I'm like, man, if they could just replace Tobias with a guy that just bombs away from three most of the game, that seems like a huge difference.
Gonna have to
Andy, you
spend.
got any more trades? You got any more free agent? You got any more GM coach things to talk about?
No, have you been watching the playoff games?
No longer.
I once once the Pistons got eliminated, I haven't watched a single playoff game.
For the actually, I need let's look at this now. I we started recording this while the OKC and San Antonio game was going on. So let me look at the score and then I'll tell you. Yes, thank God the Spurs even up the series. They need the Spurs in this finals if for nothing else. Oklahoma City has become unbearable to watch. I don't know how many stat trackers, graphic design people in the NBA space in the last week I've seen design things that show the percentage of times that SGA falls on the ground due to his overall shot output. It's like roughly 30% of the time. It's disgusting.
Yeah, I've seen little things here and there, and I'm like, I have no interest in watching those games.
Yeah, and then like Hartenstein pulling Stephon Castle's hair and stuff. It's just like it's Bush League stuff, man.
Yeah. Do you
Yeah.
think the Knicks have a shot against either team from the West?
They do. I mean, they just got momentum on their side, man. I don't think anybody should take them for granted because they've just been playing fantastic basketball and they figured it out. Like every good team does when they get on their title run is who cares about the regular season, right? Just let's poop away the middle part of it and then really get going in the end and then fired up for the playoffs.
Do you think the Pistons will have some of that next year? A little bit about, okay, it's a regular season, but we need to get
You know.
Big
We'll
JB's
bring
gonna
that up
maybe.
next time. We'll bring that up next time with JB because I think JB deserves a deep dive. Actually, real quick before we end, what did you think about the Pistons immediately saying they re-signed JB after that first round playoff?
Oh, I didn't like that at all. That made no sense to me. No sense at
Why?
all.
Why?
Um, well, I understand the team is being successful. However, you I want my coach coaching next season like they have something to prove. I don't I don't feel like there was any reason to commit to what he's doing longer term because yeah, we have the ship righted. We have things going the way we want, but is he the guy who can take us in this next step in the playoffs? There's a you should already have doubts that he's this guy. And I haven't seen anything this year that would make me feel like, oh, he settled those doubts. They're still there for me. So I was not a fan of that.
Yeah, I think I'm not a fan of it for many reasons, but I think the biggest reason is like, so your message is basically like, oh, we finally won a playoff series. Let's reward you for that. It's like, so that's like your goal. It's okay if it's one goal, but that just seemed because it's like, okay, if they lost the playoff series, then would you have fired him? Like, is that the message you're sending? I just don't get it. And I can't remember a team announcing a contract decision in between series like that. It's
It
just
was
like, again, it just seems like the point they're trying to make is, oh, we're happy he won a playoff series, and just like, what did he do? Like, I know that's something to celebrate, but like you're saying, they had a lot of concerns. He almost lost them that playoff series because he wasn't playing Dennis Jenkins because Jamal Mosley had a good game plan with Franz Wagner on Cade. It's like they lucked out of that, and then you're like, oh, there you go, there's a contract extension.
yeah, I mean, do you F and I know it's coming after they got eliminated, so no one's positive, but did your opinion of JB's coaching improve stay the same or get worse from this
It got
playoff?
worse. Again, he created this three center problem. That didn't exist before the Cavs series, right? Now we have three centers that we have no idea what he thinks about. He didn't trust Stu enough to play him more in the Cavs series. He didn't trust Duran enough to play him in crunch time. And I don't know if Paul Reed is like really somebody he wants to start or if that was just punishment for the other guys.
Paul Reed like won us a game.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
again, what I don't even know what to think about that because the next game he was like treated like a backup again. I think the next game he had like 8 minutes or something.
yeah. I don't. We'll have to do a whole thing on that. On just yeah.
Yeah, the next episode will be a deep dive into JB Bickerstaff, so stay tuned for that. So yeah, thank you so much for listening to us. Andy, let everybody know where they can find you online before we get out of here. So scrambled anymore.
You can find me on Twitter at D_D_Pistons_fan.
Yeah, thank you for listening to us. Let's get out of here before I ruin this outro here.